Welcome back, y'all. This is Victor Haskins, and today I want to talk to my trumpet players about the use of the third valve slide. So, why do we have a third valve slide? A third valve slide is necessary in order to adjust the pitch of notes that are inherently sharp, mainly D below the staff and C sharp below the staff. Okay? So, the D is sharp and the C sharp is even sharper. So you need to figure out first with a tuner and sit with a tuner and figure out, or even better, sit with a keyboard and figure out exactly how sharp you and your horn are on those D's and C sharps. And that will tell you how far out you need to kick this third valve slide in order to make those notes in tune. So when you figure that out, and you do that slowly, of course, you just like figure it out. Okay, so that's pretty sharp. So maybe if I kick it out this much. Okay, so if you see, that's about where it is in the light. See, that's about how far out my third valve slide needs to go in order to make my D's in tune. Now, my C sharps are going to be a little bit sharper than that. Maybe I'm going to go. Okay, and that's a little farther out. Slightly. It's a very small amount. The main thing about using our third valve slide is getting in the habit of doing it. Because, when you're first learning the instrument, there's a lot of things we have to coordinate. The tongue, and the breath, and the lips, and the fingers, and it's a lot. And we don't necessarily think about what the left hand is doing besides just holding the horn. But it is very important that we play with this third valve slide actively. So, the way we might work on this is we might play just going between a C and a D, or a C and a C sharp, and do it with a metronome slowly. So I'll do it at 60 beats per minute, and I'll play it in quarter notes, but you might do it slower than that, and just get used to coordinating the depression of the valves and the kicking out of the slide on those Ds. So here's what I'll do going from C to D. Okay, and we just do that for a while until it becomes natural. Now, obviously, I use my third valve slide a lot, but if this is your first time doing it, then you might have this thing happen where your third valve slide might be stuck. It might not move very smoothly, and that's because the metal needs to be shaved down. The tolerance between the slide and the slide casing needs to be shaved down, and the only way to really do that is to use the third valve slide. And how you might do it and accelerate that process, if you've never really used your third valve slide, it's probably super stuck. You're probably like trying to use it and the horn is bobbling around. So what you might do is while you're watching TV or reading a book or just like sitting there idle, you'll put some slide oil, some valve oil on it, and you'll just depress the third valve slide like such, and you're just going to move it back and forth. Just do that. And eventually your slide will move super smoothly. And if you do that over the course of several days or several weeks, it'll break your slide in very quickly. Anytime I get a new horn, which isn't very often, but when I do, that's the first thing I do is oil up all the valves and just start banging the valves and that third valve slide, and also the first valve slide, but I don't really use that slide as much as I used to. But you got to break these slides in. You got to break the slide in. So put valve oil, put slide oil on it. Usually a mixture of valve oil and slide oil will or slide grease will make this slide move really smoothly. I don't use just valve oil on it usually. I definitely don't use just slide grease on it, because slide grease is made for slow slides like your main tuning slide or the second valve slide, slides that don't really need to move very much almost ever, but fast slides, slides that you're going to actively use to adjust intonation, like your first vowel slide if you have a ring or a saddle in order to kick the first vowel slide out, and the third vowel slide. Those are two slides that are fast slides, so you need to have those, a mixture of oil, valve oil, and slide grease or slide oil is going to give you the smoothest kind of movement for those two slides. For people who have smaller hands, if you have a student horn, you probably have an adjustable ring on your third valve slide, and that's so you can move the ring closer or farther away from the valve casing. That way your hand, which is probably smaller than an adult hand, if you're a younger person, then it'll help you to operate that slide. And you actually might even need to, I know when I was starting off on the cornet and the trumpet, my hands were much smaller than they are now, and so I would actually have to hold the trumpet. Instead of having my ring finger in the ring here, I might put my middle finger in the ring, and that gave me a little more strength because the ring finger is kind of your weakest finger on your hand. So I would use my middle finger in order to kick the third valve slide out. And as my hands got bigger and stronger, then I moved to using the ring finger there. It's a little more comfortable. What else do I want to say about the third valve slide? Oh, you don't want to leave it out. You don't want to leave it out while you are playing. So say I were going to play a C major scale. Okay, a C major scale fingering pattern. You know, open 1 3 1 2 1, open 1 2 2, open. Right? There's only one instance of using the third valve slide, and that's on that D. Now, what if I played a different scale that had more notes that used the third valve slide, the third valve, because the third valve, any notes you play with that are going to be altered by the third valve slide. So say I played the C Aeolian mode, okay, or your C natural minor scale, then that has E flat and A flat. Now here's what happens if I play it with the slide. I leave the slide out and don't kick the slide back in after I play the D. So the D was in tune, had good intonation, but the E flat and the A flat were almost a quarter tone flat because those notes, even though they use the third valve, they are not inherently sharp. They're already pretty much in tune if I'm playing in the center of the pitches. So here's what that looks like when I kick the valve slide back in, the third valve slide back in after the D. Because remember, we only want to alter the D. And now the intonation is fine. So remember, when you're using the third valve slide, you want to make sure you kick it out only for the note you're altering and kick it right back in, because you don't want to flatten other notes that are not inherently sharp, or you're going to have really bad intonation. I hope that was a helpful lesson, and I hope you guys come back and check out what else we have to talk about. If you have questions about anything, or you want to see a lesson on a certain topic, certainly leave comments down in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you.